Hello, I'm Nafis Ali, and today we will be discussing about the history of North America's first underground subway to ever exist. I will be discussing about its entire history from the beginning to its future. And this will be full-length video discussing about its entire history. Now I will also be discussing about the rolling stock, such as retired fleets, present day fleets, and the future fleets. So let's dive in and get into the entire history of the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, or the MBTA Green Line light rail transit system, which runs all over around Boston. And let's begin. Public transit is a common way of transportation in which people use, such as getting to school, getting to work, or going back home, or going to a game event. Public transit is something which is affordable and people use it across the United States. Each state has its own transit system, but we will be focusing today on Boston's transit. So part 1, in the beginnings. In 1888, a streetcar branch began operation. Starting from Governor Square, the line went above Beacon Street, making stops at Carlton Street, which is now St. Mary's Street, Howes Street, Kent Street, St. Paul Street, and terminating at Coolidge Corner. The following year of 1889, the line became electrified, in which overhead wires were installed, in which the train cars had trolley poles installed, so these can now operate from electricity from the overhead wires. With this, in 1889, the line was extended from Coolidge Corner to Winchester Street, which is now Summit Avenue, Brandon Hall, Fairbanks Street, Winthrop Road, which is now Washington Square, Tappan Street, Dean Road, Strathmore Road, which is now Inglewood Road Avenue, and terminating at Cleveland Circle, completing the Beacon Street line. The Beacon Street line was Boston's first electric streetcar to ever exist. In 1894, another streetcar branch began operation. Starting from Governor Square, the branch ran above Commonwealth Avenue, making stops at Blandford Street, Boston University East, University Road, which is now Boston University Central, Boston University West, St. Paul Street, Pleasant Street, Babcock Street, Packard's Corner, then continuing on Brighton Avenue, mixed traffic to Union Square, Allston, in which from Union Square, Allston, streetcars connected with other streetcar branches. In 1894, the Beacon Street line was extended from Cleveland Circle, turning right on Chestnut Hill Avenue, then turning left on Commonwealth Avenue. So from Chestnut Hill Avenue, the line went on Commonwealth Avenue, making stops at South Street, Foster Street, which was later renamed to Graycliff Road, and Graycliff Road ended up closing in 2004. Then the line terminated at Lake Street, which is now Boston College. In 1900, the streetcar branch was extended from Packard's Corner on Commonwealth Avenue, making stops at Fordham Road, Harvard Avenue, Grigg Street, Alston Street, Orange Street, Summit Avenue, Washington Street, Mount Hood Road, Sutherland Road, Leamington Road, Cheswick Road, and connected with the Beacon Street line at Chestnut Hill Avenue, where it followed the rest of the line to Boston College. Later on, Beacon Street service to Boston College ended. The tracks between Cleveland Circle and Chestnut Hill Avenue remained as non-revenue use. In 2004, the stops Fordham Road, Summit Avenue, Mount Hood Road, Leamington Road, and Great Cliff Road were removed due to less usage. This completes the Commonwealth Avenue reservation that we know today. In 1894, another streetcar branch began operation. Starting from Copley Square, this branch ran above Huntington Avenue, making stops at Opera Place, which is now Northeastern University, Forsyth Street, Parker Street, Ruggles Avenue, which is now Museum of Fine Arts, Vancouver Street, Longwood Medical Area, Wigglesworth Street, Brigham Circle, Fenwood Road, Mission Park, and terminated at Riverway. The stops Forsyth Street, Parker Street, Vancouver Street, and Wigglesworth Street were closed in 1980. Streetcars from Brigham Circle to Riverway ran on mixed traffic. Mixed traffic is when the rail tracks are placed in the middle of the road, in which cars and any other vehicles can drive over it, in which streetcars have to drive very slow as to not collide into any vehicle or into any people. The streetcar branch from Union Square, Alston, was later extended on an existing streetcar branch to Watertown on mixed traffic, passing by St. Elizabeth's Hospital, Brighton Center, Oak Square, and Newton Corner. Completing the Brighton branch. Part 2, North America's first underground subway. It was the 1870s. Tremont Street, Boston was one of the populated areas in town in which thousands of people would walk in this area, including horse carts and streetcars, in which, as a solution, they think of creating a way in which people could get faster around Boylston Street and Park Street, in which they came up of constructing a subway in which would run from Park Street to Boylston Street in an underground tunnel built under Tremont Street. This subway started from Park Street Station, going down the Tremont Street subway and terminated at Boylston Street. And now, from Boylston Street, streetcars could exit above Gardiner Street incline to the Boston Public Garden. And another streetcar exit from the tunnel was the Pleasant Street incline, in which this is a tunnel flying off west from Boylston Street Station, exited through a portal at Pleasant Street. The Tremont Street subway was opened on September 1st of 1897. The following year, in 1898, the line was extended north from Park Street, making stops at Adams Square, although Adams Square was a platform for only northbound trains, which was in a different section. Then the line was extended to Scollay Square, Union Friend, which is now Haymarket Square. Then the line from Haymarket Square continued on a tunnel which led to the Canal Street incline, in which streetcars can exit and continue on mixed traffic from Canal Street incline. Part 3. The Share. In 1901, another rapid transit system began operation in Boston, in which this was called the Boston Elevated Railway, present day the MBTA Orange Line. This rapid transit system started from Sullivan Square Terminal, went down the Charlestown Elevated, then continuing on the Washington Street Elevated to Forest Hills. Now, from the gap between the Charlestown Elevated and the Washington Street Elevated, a tunnel was being constructed for the Orange Line, although this would take some years to be finished, and with this, the Boston Elevated Railway used the Tremont Street subway from the Canal Street incline up till the Pleasant Street incline. This was used from 1901 up till 1908. The Tremont Street subway became ownership under the Boston Elevated Railway Company. Part 4. West Extension. In 1914, the Gardiner Street incline was sealed and was replaced by a nearby street incline at Boylston Street. The Tremont Street subway was extended from Boylston, underneath Boylston Street, to Copley Square, Massachusetts Avenue, which was later renamed to Auditorium in 1965, then renamed to Heinz Convention Center ICA in 1990. Then ICA was cut off from the name in 2006, so this station is Heinz Convention Center. Then streetcars exited out through the Kenmore Street incline and connected with the Commonwealth Avenue and Beacon Street reservation. In 1921, a new stop was added between Boylston and Copley, trains now stopping at Arlington Street. In 1932, a new underground station opened at Kenmore, in which this replaced Governor's Square. The new Kenmore station had 2 platforms with 4 tracks, 2 tracks in the middle and 2 side tracks on the end of the platforms. The 2 center tracks were for the Commonwealth Avenue Reservation and the Brighton Reservation, while the 2 side tracks were for the Beacon Street Reservation. The Kenmore Street incline got sealed off and 2 new tunnels were constructed from Kenmore. The first tunnel leading up to surface level on Commonwealth Avenue, while the second tunnel led surface above to Beacon Street. Part 5. The Other Trolley. In this part, I will be discussing about the history of another streetcar branch which is not connected with the Tremont Street subway. I will be discussing about the history of the Mattapan-Ashmont line. This does later have a relationship with the Tremont Street subway, and I will be discussing about it also. In 1847, the Dorchester and Milton Branch Railroad opened, in which this ran from Neponset on the Old Colony Main Line to Mattapan via Milton. The Old Colony Railroad also built the Shawmut Branch Railroad, which started from Harrison Square, which ran on the main line to Milton via Peabody Square and began operation in 1872. This was later acquired by the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad in 1893. The Boston Elevated Railway later planned to extend the Cambridge-Dorchester line, or present day the MBTA Red Line, further into Dorchester. So from 1927 to 1928, the Red Line was extended to Savin Hill, Fields Corner, Shawmut, and terminated at Ashmont. The Boston Elevated Railway also planned to extend the Red Line to Mattapan on the former Milton and Dorchester Railroad. although this wasn't done due to high budget, so the western portion was converted to streetcar use. This service began operation in August 26 of 1929. Starting from Ashmont, this went to Cedar Grove, with Butler being added in 1931, Milton, Central Avenue, Valley Road, Capon Street being added in 1930, and terminating at Mattapan. Part 6 into Cambridge. In 1912, an elevated structure was constructed in front of the Canal Street incline, in which the 4 tracks, the 2 center tracks went on a street level, while the 2 outer tracks went on an elevated way on Causeway Street, making an elevated stop at North Station. Then the line continued on an elevated bridge, crossing the Charles River Dam and running elevated on the Monsignor O'Brien Highway. In 1922, a surface-level station opened at Lechmere, in which this also connected to the elevated bridge, in which the Brighton Reservation, Commonwealth Avenue Reservation, and Beacon Street Reservation can now go to Lechmere. Although schedules did get switched and some branches terminated at Park Street, Scollay Square, or North Station. In 1955, a new station was added on the elevated between North Station and Lechmere, trains now stopping at Science Park West End. This stop was created as to serve the nearby Museum of Science. Lechmere was located in Cambridge. Part 7 South Extension. The Huntington Avenue Reservation used to access the Tremont Street subway through the former Boylston Street incline. The Boston Elevated Railway later planned to construct a new tunnel from the Copley Square station to Huntington Avenue. So with this, the Boylston Street incline got sealed and left abandoned. So in 1941, a new tunnel was constructed from Copley Square station, flying south underneath Huntington Avenue, making stops at Mechanics Hall, which is now Prudential Center, and Symphony Hall, then exited through a portal at Opera Place, which is now Northeastern University, and connected with Huntington Avenue Reservation. In the same year, the Huntington Avenue Reservation was extended from Riverway on an existing streetcar branch. Continuing south on South Huntington Avenue in mixed traffic, passing by the VA Hospital, then continuing on Center Street, also in mixed traffic through the neighborhood of Jamaica Plain, making multiple streetcar stops along the way, then continuing on South Street until reaching Forest Hills. Streetcars from here passed underneath the Washington Street elevated, in which the present-day Orange Line used to run, then terminating at Arbor Way. A streetcar maintenance facility yard was constructed at Arbor Way as to serve a storage yard for the streetcars. In Arbor Way, streetcars could be repaired if they break down and general maintenance can be done, in which most streetcars operating in Jamaica Plain or south of Forest Hills are maintained at Arbor Way shops. Arbor Way mostly served the streetcars of the Huntington Avenue Reservation. Part 8 Out of Town. In 1848, a railroad branch was built by the Boston and Albany Railroad, with the forerunner of the Boston and Worcester Railroad. The Charles River Branch Railroad later expanded the line into Newton Upper Falls in 1852 and to later Woonsocket, Rhode Island. The Boston and Albany Railroad purchased the branch between Brookline Village and Cook Street in Newton Highlands from the New York and New England Railroad in 1883. The Boston and Albany Railroad later extended the line from Newton Highlands to Riverside in 1886 with a Newton Circuit service on the Highland branch. Now, if you're wondering what's the Highland branch, this is the Highland branch, which went from the main line of the Boston and Albany Railroad into downtown Boston via Newton and Brookline. If you're also wondering what was the Newton Circuit, it was a coil service via the Highland branch and the main line, while the New York and New England Railroad continued using the branch east of Cook Street, Newton Highlands. The New York and New England successor, New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad, began rerouting most of the New York and New England trains over a new cutoff from Needham Junction to West Roxbury in 1906. Revenue service on the 1852 built line of the south of Cook Street ended in 1927. Passenger service on the Highland branch totally ended on May 31st of 1958. The Tremont Street Subway Company later purchased the Highland branch and decided to convert it into streetcar use. This service operation began in July 4th of 1959. Starting from Kenmore Station, a new portal was constructed to making stops at Fenway, Longwood, Brookline Village, Brookline Hills, Beacons Field, and from Reservoir, the Highland branch connected with the Beacon Street Reservation and the Commonwealth Avenue Reservation. Reservoir served a maintenance facility yard asked for train maintenance. Then the branch exited out of Boston, then entering the suburban area of Newton, Massachusetts, then continuing on making stops at Chestnut Hill, Newton Center, Newton Highlands, Elliott, Waban, Woodland, passing by the Woodland Golf Course, then terminating at Riverside. Riverside served a maintenance facility yard for the streetcars, in which streetcars can now be stored, repaired if they broke down, and heavy maintenance can be done at Riverside shops. Riverside served a home for the Brighton Avenue, Commonwealth Avenue, Beacon Street, Highland, and Huntington Avenue reservations. Streetcars on the Highland branch can operate very fast instead of operating slow when operating in mixed traffic. The Highland branch is where the streetcars can show their high speed. Part 9. Landmarks. In 1947, the Boston Elevated Railway later became the Metropolitan Transit Authority, or the MTA, and this name was later changed in 1964, where the MTA became the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, or the MBTA. In 1962, the Pleasant Street incline was sealed and left abandoned. This is because the streetcar era in Boston was over and all remaining streetcar routes except the Brighton, Commonwealth, Beacon Street, and Huntington Avenue reservations were converted to bus routes, in which the Pleasant Street incline was no longer needed. The Pleasant Street incline was last used for the City Point line, which later converted into Bus Route 9, and the Tremont Street line, which was later converted to Bus Route 43 in the year 1961. This is why the Pleasant Street incline was sealed. The remaining streetcar branches were the Brighton Reservation, Commonwealth Avenue Reservation, Beacon Street Reservation, Highland Branch, Huntington Avenue Reservation, and the Mattapan-Ashmont line. In 1965, the MBTA later changed their names of their rapid transit lines and their trains, so in which the Cambridge-Dorchester line became the Red Line, the Boston Elevated Railway became the Orange Line, and the East Boston Revere Line became the Blue Line. Now the Tremont Street subway was chosen to be the Green Line. This is because the streetcars passed by various parks around Boston, such as Boston Common. The Brighton Reservation became the Green Line A branch, which went from Watertown to Park Street. The Commonwealth Avenue Reservation became the B branch, went from Boston College to Park Street. The Beacon Street Reservation became the C branch, went from Cleveland Circle to North Station. The Highland branch became the D branch, which went from Riverside to Lechmere, and the Huntington Avenue Reservation became the E branch, went from Arbor Way to Lechmere. From 1960 to 1963, big changes would happen in Boston, in which the government later planned to demolish Scully Square and Adams Square in order to construct the Government Center Plaza and the Boston City Hall, in which Scully Square and Adams Square were closed and demolished. Adams Square was left abandoned, while Scully Square was being rebuilt, in which in 1963 the new Government Center station was opened. From 2014 to 2016, Government Center Station was closed and went into renovations, in which the crews found remnants of the old Scully Square station, finding its signs, in which they chose to keep it and make it part of the new renovated Government Center, which opened in 2016. Part 10. Further changes. In 1969, the A line shut down, in which streetcar service to Watertown ended. This was done because due to too much traffic and risk of collision, that's why the A line was shut down. Although the tracks were still laid there and remained as non-revenue as for access to the Watertown Maintenance Facility Yard, although the tracks were later removed and paved over in 1994. The trolley maintenance facility at Watertown was later converted into a bus maintenance facility and a layover point during middays, and the A branch was replaced by the local key route Bus Route 57, Watertown Yard to Kenmore Station via Brighton. In 1985, E-line service to Arbor Way Forest Hills was temporarily somewhat suspended, in which E-line trains all terminated at Brigham Circle. Now, this is because of due to road construction on Center Street. In 1989, the line was re-extended from Brigham Circle to back of the hill and terminating at Heath Street. The key route 39, Forestall Station to Back Bay Station, replaced E-line service to Forest Hills. In the 1980s, the Orange Line was being moved from the elevated to the Southwest Corridor, in which a new Forestall Station was being constructed, in which they also constructed a siding for the Green Line. In 2009, all the streetcar tracks were removed on Center Street and South Street, as declared that the E-line will no longer go to Forest Hills. Arbor Way Yard was later converted into a CNG bus garage as to home the new 2003-2004 Northern American Bus Industries 40-foot low-floor CNG buses numbered 2001 to 2299. The 39 was later introduced with the 2003 American Neoplan 60-foot articulated buses numbered 1021 to 1029, 1031 to 1044. The Green Line tracks at Forest Hills were later removed in 2017 as for the reconstruction of the Forest Hills busway. In 2004, the Causeway Street elevator was closed and replaced by a new underground station at North Station. From 2021 to 2022, changes happened on the B line, in which Babcock Street was shut down and was updated into a new modern station, while the following stops, Boston University West, St. Paul Street, and Pleasant Street, were replaced by a new modern station at Amory Street. Part 11, expanding out again. In 2006, a planning was made to extend the Green Line from Lechmere into Somerville and Medford, and completion date was planned to be finished in 2014, although this was delayed all the way to 2018. In 2012, a groundbreaking was held. The federal government committed $996 million of the $2.2 billion cost of the project in 2014. In 2015, the project increased to $3.3 billion, and the project was unfortunately placed as hold for temporarily. A revised plan was later made, in which was submitted in 2016 and approved in 2017. The main $1.8 billion design-build contract was issued in November 2017. Construction of the Green Line extension began in the year of 2018. The plan was made for two terminals, one which would terminate at Union Square, Somerville, while the other one in Medford, Tufts. D-Line trains would go to Union Square, Somerville, while E-Line trains would go to Medford, Tufts. The D-Line would follow side by side with the Fitchburg Line to reach Union Square, Somerville, while the E-Line would follow side by side with the Lowell Line to Medford, Tufts. Construction began, such as creating space for the Green Line, constructing bridges, placing tracks, and constructing the stations. When the construction was nearly finished in 2020, the old Lechmere station was shut down and demolished, in which a new elevated stop at Lechmere replaced the old Lechmere. Service to Union Square began on March 21st of 2022. A new maintenance facility yard was opened for the Green Line near the Boston Engine Terminal. In December 12, 2022, the Medford Tufts branch began operation, serving new stops at East Somerville, Gilman Square, Magoon Square, Ball Square, and terminating at Medford Tufts, serving the nearby Tufts University. This brings us to the history of the Green Line. Now I will be talking about the rolling stock, specifically the train cars which are used on the Green Line. Part 12, Type 1s, Type 2s, and Type 3s. During the 1800s, all streetcars were horse-powered, in which these same streetcars were later converted into electric streetcars by installing trolley poles as to collect power from the overhead wires. In 1903, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 22 cars from Laconia Car Company with General Electric motors. These cars were numbered 23, 33, 54, 404, 407, 414, 419, 447, 449, 450, 451, 454, 457, 459, 462, 463, 464, 466, 467, 468, 536, and 707. These were retired from service in 1930. Also, in 1903, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 13 cars built by Newburyport, equipped with General Electric motors. These cars were numbered 469 through 470, 472, 474 through 475, 479, 529, 538, 542, 544, 547, 549, and 552. These were retired from service in 1930, with car number 475 being preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine. Same year, 1903, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 25 cars from Coleman equipped with General Electric motors. These cars were numbered 553 to 555, 562, 570, 580 to 582, 584, 586, 588 to through 589, 616, 701, 719, 726, 727, 849, 10,006, 10,008, 1035, 1376, 1393, and 1394, retired from service in 1930. In 1905, the Boston Elevator Railway constructed an experimental car numbered 5000, equipped with General Electric motors. This car was retired from service in 1915 and later scrapped. From 1905 to 1908, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 40 cars from the Brell Company, which are called the Type 1s, numbered 5001 to 5040, 50 cars, which are called the Type 2s, numbered 5041 to 5090, and 100 cars, which are called the Type 3s, purchased from St. Louis Car Company, numbered 5091 to 5190. These cars were equipped with General Electric and Westinghouse electric motors. These cars were 46 feet long, 8 feet wide, 12 feet tall, and weighed 36,000 pounds. These had 52 seats, MC-26 control systems, AMT braking systems, D2EG compressor. These were retired from service in 1931. Cars number 5106, 5138, 5154, 5159, and 5164 were converted to snowplowers and later preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine. Cars numbered 5055, 5060, and 5071 were converted to compressor cars, later preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine. Part 13, Type 4s. In 1911, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 50 cars from Laconia Car Company. These cars are called the Type 4s, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors. These were numbered 5191 to 5240, retired from service in 1951. In 1912, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased the Type 4 again from Osgood Bradley, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors. 25 cars were purchased, numbered 5241 to 5265, retired from service in 1949. Same year, in 1912, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 25 cars again from St. Louis Car Company, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors. These cars were numbered 5266 to 5290, retired from service in 1951. In 1913, 40 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, numbered 5291 to 5330, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1951. Same year, 1913, the Boston Elevator Railway purchased 35 cars from St. Louis Car Company, numbered 5331 to 5365, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1951. In 1914, 100 cars were purchased from Jowett, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors. These were numbered 5366 to 5465, retired from service in 1950. In 1916, 10 cars were purchased from Wason, numbered 5466 to 5475. Motors were collected from retired Type 2s, and these were retired in 1929. The Boston Elevated Railway began to create its own electric streetcars using old horsepower streetcars, manufacturing them by splicing two 20-foot streetcars manufactured in the 1890s with new articulated sections being added. In 1912, car number 4000 was created, which they equipped with Westinghouse electric motors and retired it from service in 1921. In 1913, they created another car, number 4001, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1917. Same year, in 1913, 31 cars were created, numbered 4002 to 4032, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1923. In 1914, 17 cars were created, numbered 4033 to 4049, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1923. In 1915, 19 cars were created, numbered 4050 to 4068, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1923. Same year, 1915, 6 cars were created, numbered 4200 to 4205, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1925. Same year, in 1915, car number 4206 was created, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1923. Same year again, 1915, 47 cars were created, numbered 4207 to 4253, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1925. In 1916, 26 cars were created, numbered 4254 to 4279, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1925. In 1917, 30 cars were created, numbered 4280 to 4309, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1924. In 1919, 12 cars were created, numbered 4310 to 4321, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1924. The Boston Elevated Railway later purchased center entrance trailers. In 1915, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 75 cars manufactured by Brell, numbered 7000 to 7074, retired from service in 1944. Same year, in 1915, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 25 cars from Laconia Car Company, numbered 7075 to 7099, retired from service in 1937. In 1916, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 25 cars from Brell, numbered 7100 to 7124, retired from service in 1937. Same year, 1916, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 30 cars from Brell, numbered 7125 to 7154, retired from service in 1937. Same year again, 1916, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 20 cars from Laconia Car Company, numbered 7155 to 7174, retired from service in 1944. In 1918, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 50 cars from Coleman, numbered 7175 to 7224, retired from service in 1937. In 1917, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 50 cars from Brell, equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 6000 to 6049, retired from service in 1945. Also, in 1917, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 50 cars from Laconia Car Company equipped with General Electric motors numbered 6050 to 6099, retired from service in 1945. In 1918, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 100 cars from Coleman equipped with General Electric motors numbered 6100 to 6199, retired from service in 1953, with Unit 6131 being preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine. Same year, 1918, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 100 cars again from Coleman equipped with Westinghouse electric motors numbered 6200 to 6299, retired from service in 1953, with Unit 6270 being preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine. In 1920, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 30 cars from Laconia Car Company equipped with General Electric motors numbered 6300 to 6329, retired from service in 1945, with Unit 6309 being preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Keenbunkport, Maine, although unfortunately was scrapped for parts in 2006. Same year, 1920, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 75 cars from Coleman equipped with General Electric motors numbered 6330 to 6404, retired from service in 1940. Part 14, Type 5s. In 1918, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased one car, which is called the Bernie, manufactured by American, equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 9001, retired from service in 1928. In 1920, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 80 cars equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 9002 to 9081, retired from service in 1929. The Boston Elevated Railway began acquiring Type 5 streetcars, which are 45 feet long, 8 feet wide, 10 feet tall, weighed 368 pounds, had 48 seats, had K71B control systems, SM3 brake systems, DH16 compressors. In 1922, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 100 cars equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 5500 to 5599, retired from service in 1959. In 1923, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 30 cars from Brell, numbered 5600 to 5629, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1958. Also, in 1923, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 30 cars from Laconia Car Company, numbered 5630 to 5659, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors, retired from service in 1959, with Unit 5645 being preserved to the warehouse point. Again, in 1923, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 20 cars from Brell, numbered 5660 to 5679, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors, retired from service in 1957. In 1923, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 20 cars from Laconia Car Company, numbered 5680 to 5699, retired from service in 1958. In 1924, the Boston Elevated Railway purchased 50 cars from Brell, numbered 5700 to 5749, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors, retired from service in 1959. Unit 5706 was preserved to the Boston Street Railway Association. Car number 5734 was preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum, although was later leased back to the MBTA and got displayed at Boylston. In 1923, 30 cars were purchased from Bradley, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors numbered 5750 to 5779, retired from service in 1959. Also in 1923, 25 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors numbered 5780 to 5804, retired from service in 1958. In 1924, 25 cars were purchased from Brell, numbered 5805 to 5829, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1958, with Unit 5821 being preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum. In 1924, 20 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, numbered 5830 to 5849, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors, retired from service in 1953. In 1925, 5 cars were purchased from Bradley, equipped with Westinghouse electric motors, numbered 5850 to 5854, retired from service in 1953. Same year again, in 1925, 6 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 5855 to 5860, retired from service in 1954. Again, in 1925, 50 cars were purchased from Brell, equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 5861 to 5910, retired from service in 1958. In 1926, 25 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, numbered 5911 to 5935, equipped with General Electric motors, retired from service in 1956. Again, in 1926, 25 cars were purchased from Wason, equipped with General Electric motors, number 5936 to 5960, retired from service in 1957. In 1928, 10 cars were purchased from Laconia Car Company, equipped with General Electric motors, numbered 5961 to 5970, retired from service in 1954. The Boston Elevated Railway began acquiring streetcars from the former Eastern Mass Railroad with the Chelsea Division in 1936, in which they acquired 10 cars originally manufactured by Laconia in 1917, equipped with General Electric motors. These were numbered 4207, 4227, 4230, 4234, 4252, 4254, 4258, 4261, 4264, and 4276, retired from service in 1938. 39 cars were acquired from the Eastern Mass, originally manufactured by the Laconia Car Company in 1918, equipped with General Electric motors. These cars were numbered 4305 to 4306, 4310, 4313, 4316, 4318, 4321, 4322, 4328, 4330, 4332, 4335, 4336, 4338, 4339, 4341, 4342, 4349, 4351 through 4353, 4355, 4356, 4357, 4360, 4362, 4363, 4365, 4368, 4372, 4373, 4375, 4376, 4379, 4380, 4392, 4393, 4395, and 4399. Retired from service in 1947. 15 were also acquired from Eastern Mass Transportation, which are the 700 series. These cars were manufactured by Bradley and Wason in 1927, equipped with General Electric motors. These were later renumbered to 4400 to 4414, retired from service in 1950, car number 4400 was preserved to the Seashore Trolley Museum. Boston Elevator Railway acquired 7 cars, originally manufactured by Brell in 1920, equipped with General Electric and Westinghouse electric motors. These were numbered 5037, 5057, 5074, 5086, 5181, 5194, and 5229, retired from service in 1937. Part 15, President's Conference Committee. In 1937, the Boston Elevator Railway acquired 1 car from St. Louis Car Company. This is the Presidential Conference Committee, or PCC streetcars for short. This car was numbered 3001, in which the name of this car was the Queen Mary PCC. The PCC streetcars were 46 feet long, 100 inches wide. These were 10.1 feet in height with 2.75 feet on floor height. These cars weighed about 33,000 to 42,000 pounds. These had 49 to 69 seats. These cars had 2 doors on the right and 1 door on the left, although the first car, 3001, did not have a door on the other side, in which 3001 could only operate on the B branch, because the B branch was the only branch which doesn't open doors on the left side. 3001 was later retired and scrapped in 1950. The Boston Elevator Railway, or later became the Metropolitan Transit Authority, awarded the contract to Pullman Standard to build more PCC streetcars, in which a total of 345 more streetcars were acquired from 1941 to 1951, numbered 3002 to 3346. 25 of those streetcars, numbered 3322 to 3346, were originally manufactured for Dallas, in which the MTA later acquired those from Dallas between 1958 to 1959. The MBTA, or known as the T, later began repainting the PCC streetcars in the 1960s to the paint scheme of green on the bottom, white on the top half, and a white roof. Now, the streetcars I have listed so far have not only operated on the Green Line, as these have also operated in other streetcar branches of the Boston Elevator Railway, such as in the suburban cities of Boston. Part 16, Boeing LRVs. The MBTA in 1968 created a Type 6 mock-up which is made out of wood. This was created as a proposal to replace the old aging PCC streetcar fleet, although this was rejected due to high cost. The mock-up car was numbered 3400, and 3400 was later sent to the Seashore Trolley Museum to be preserved. On the other hand, the municipal railroad system of San Francisco, California, was looking for a newer fleet to replace their aging PCC fleet. The municipal railroad looked forward to Louis T. Clador, or LTK for short, to purchase 78 new streetcars to replace their aging PCC fleet. The original LTK design was later taken by Boeing Verdal of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This would be called the U.S. Standard Light Rail Vehicle, or SLRV for short. The MBTA went with municipal as for the order of the Boeing SLRVs. These were also known as the Boeing LRVs. The Boeing LRVs were 71.5 feet, 21.8 meters on length, 8.85 feet, 2.70 meters on width, 11.5 feet, 3.5 meters on height, 2.82 feet, 0.86 meters on floor height, weighed 68,000 pounds, 31,000 kilograms, had maximum curve radius of 32 to 42 feet, 9.8 to 12.8 miles, had an acceleration of 4.1 feet and a half, 1.2 meters and a half, had 5.1 feet and a half, 1.6 meters and a half of deceleration, and had 8.8 feet and a half, 2.7 meters and a half of emergency deceleration. These could run up to 50 miles per hour with 80.5 kilometers per hour. These had Garrett AI Research chopper control traction systems with air hydraulic and Y air brake systems. These had 3 pairs of turnstile plug doors each side. These had an articulated section in the middle connected with 2 trucks. The first truck is called the A end while the second one is called the B end. These can be separated and connected with other cars. These were equipped with pantographs as to collect power from the overhead wires, although at the time these were also equipped with trolley poles because the overhead wires at the time were too high for pantographs and had to be later lowered down so the pantographs can collect power from the overhead wires. These had 52 seats, although later reduced to 48 as to make room for wheelchair, and these also had wood paneling walling for the interior. The Urban Mass Transit Administration granted the MBTA a total of $33,100 to the MBTA on October 20th of 1972 to purchase 150 SLRVs. On April 23, 1973, the MBTA signed a contract with Boeing Vertol for the manufacture of 150 SLRVs. The Urban Mass Transit Administration, or the UMTA, awarded Boeing Vertol to the contract of producing the SLRVs of the cost of approximately of $300,000 per car on May 1st of 1973. Municipal, on the other hand, also ordered 80 Boeing LRVs and later increased it to 100. The T also later increased the order to 175 Boeing LRVs. The T received its first Boeing LRV on September of 1976. On December 30th, 1976, SLRVs 3415, 3418, 3420, and 3421 made its first passenger trip on the Riverside Line. This purchase would later become a disastrous for both the MBTA and Municipal. These cars were introduced with many problems, such as derailments when operating on tight curves, the chopper control system failing to work, the NY air brake systems failing to work, the plug-style doors failing to seal, and dust and other particles jamming the ACs of these cars. Revenue service on the Boeing LRVs got temporarily suspended on April of 1977. On the other hand, San Francisco's Boeing LRVs were breaking down on an average of every 600 miles. The T was still accepting Boeing LRVs, although they were breaking down so fast that the crews at Riverside couldn't repair them in enough time. The T ended up setting 35 Boeing LRVs as out of service as to spare parts to repair other Boeing LRVs. The shipment of the Boeing LRVs to the T was suspended on June of 1978 after 135 cars have been delivered. On October 9 of 1978, the MBTA rejected the final Boeing SLRVs. Boeing Vertol later returned $40 million back to the MBTA for the cost and repairs of the Boeing LRVs. So heavy politics happened between the MBTA, Municipal, and Boeing, in which in 1979 the T had 135 Boeing LRVs with 35 cannibalized, and Muni had 100 Boeing LRVs by 1982. Now, there were 40 remaining Boeing LRVs sitting at Boeing Verdel's plant in Philadelphia, in which in 1983, 31 of those were later accepted by Municipal at a cheaper discount, and the remaining 9 were later accepted by the MBTA also in a cheaper discount. So the T had 144 cars numbered 3400 to 3543, with 114 being placed in active service, while the others being placed as out of service for parts. The Boeing LRVs did not replace any PCC streetcars at all, and the PCC streetcars were still in active service. During the second and third quarters of 1979, the Green Line missed a total of 12,201 weekday trips. Producing of the LRVs from Boeing Verdel was taken out of business in 1980. The Boeing fleet was no good at all, and the PCC fleet had also needed to be replaced, so the T later began looking for a replacement which would replace both the PCC streetcars and the Boeing LRVs. The T later began splicing together damaged Boeing LRVs. For example, car number 3454 and 3478 had been involved in an accident in which the A end of 3478 and the B end of 3454 were connected and returned to active service, while the A end of 3454 and the B end of 3478 were placed out of service and left at a siding at Riverside awaiting for its disposition. The T in 1985 began testing Canadian Light Rail Vehicles or CLRVs on the Green Line, although these were not suitable for the Green Line and was rejected. Part 17, Type 7's my favorite. In the 1980s, the MBTA looked forward to Kinki Shoryo of Osaka, Japan to manufacture new streetcars for the Green Line. After designing and prototyping, they came up with the Type 7. The new Type 7 LRV is 74 feet long, 8.67 feet wide, and 11.83 feet tall. The floor height of the Type 7 is 35 inches tall, 890 millimeters. The Type 7s weighed 85,000 pounds, 39,000 kilograms. These had 50 leather cushion seats and wood paneling walling for the interior. The minimum curve radius of the Type 7s are 42 feet 13 meters, had 4.1 and a half, 1.2, 25 and millimeters and a half of acceleration, and 5.1 feet and a half and 1.56 meters and a half of deceleration. These had 3 pairs of folio doors each side, county riddle signs, and these were colored bright green on the bottom, a stripe of black in the middle, and white on the top. The Type 7 trolley is by far my most favorite streetcar of all. I truly love the unique design put into the Type 7s. When I go ride the Green Line, I would always want to get on the Type 7. I truly love the interior design of the Type 7s. I truly love of how the seating is arranged. I also love the wood paneling walling. Some people might find them ugly, but to me, they are the best. The T ordered a total of 100 cars, which are numbered 3600 to 3699. The first 50 cars, numbered 3600 to 3649, were delivered in the year of 1986. The remaining 50 cars, numbered 3650 to 3699, were delivered from 1987 to 1988. Part 18, Clearing the Pier. With the new Type 7 trolleys in active service, the PCC streetcars could finally retire. Units 3019, 3037, 3069, 3083, 3099, 3122, 3127, 3174, 3221, 3274, 3292, 3327, 3328, 3331, 3332, 3338, 3340, 3342, 3343, and 3344 was sent to the Seashore Trolley Museum. Units 3099 and 3122 was later scrapped at Seashore Trolley Museum. Unit 3003 was sent to the Warehouse Point. Unit 3093 was sent to the Old Trashers in Iowa, later resold to Gomaco for parts in 2002. 3100 was also sent to the Warehouse Point. 3158, 3164, 3166, 3168, 3171 was sent to the Tandy for parts in 1978. 3166 was used to make a new car for Tandy. 3177, 3178, 3196 was also sent to Tandy for parts in 1978. 3204, 3214, 3216 was sent to the Trolley Museum of New York. 3214 and 3216 ended up being later scrapped. $32.26 was sent to the Old Trashers in Iowa, also later resold to Gomaco for parts in 2002. $32.35, $32.69 was sent to the Keokuk Junction, later resold to the Illinois Railway Museum for parts and later scrapped. Units 3229, 3242, 3244, 3246, 3247, 3252, 3255, 3256, 3259, 3261, 3266, 3267, 3270, and 3271 was sent to the Vintage Electric. 3306 and 3309 was also later sent to the Warehouse Point. 3299, 3303, 3220, 3321 was sent to the Brooklyn Electric. 3299 and 3321 was later moved to the Shelburne Falls. 3285 was sent to the Vintage Electric. 3323 was sent to the Middletown and Hummelstown. 3326 was later sent to the Vintage Electric. 3329 was sent to the Age of Steam Dallas, unfortunately later scrapped. 3333 was later sent to the Warehouse Point. 3334 was sent to the McKinney Ave, Dallas, later scrapped. 3322, 3325, 3327, 3337, 3341, 3345, 3346 was also sent to Gomaco for parts. Unit 3295 was preserved by the MBTA and displayed at Boylston. To clear the pier for the Type 7s, 19 Boeing LRVs were scrapped between 1987 and 1988. Part 19 Type 8s. Now, the Type 7 LRVs didn't replace the entire Boeing LRVs, in which the Boeing LRVs were still in active service but were still having serious mechanical issues. The T from 1996 to 1997 contracted with Amirail, formerly Morrison Knudsen of Hornell, New York, to completely refurbish 55 Boeing LRVs. From 1996 to 1997, asked for an extended service until a replacement came, in which the old plug-style doors were replaced with new folio ones as to reduce door problems, and specific parts were replaced with newer parts as to reduce mechanical issues. Any non-rehabbed Boeing LRVs were taken out of service by 1997. In 1997, 20 additional Type 7s were purchased from Kinki Shardio. These are called the Type 7.5s, numbered 3700 to 3719. These are pretty much identical to the Type 7s purchased back in 1986, except for the interior. Instead of oak pressed wood, these were made from cherry pressed wood for the interior walling. Some of the Type 7.5s came in this tone of gray with tiles of green paint on the bottom. This same paint scheme was later given to some of the 1986 Type 7s. In the 1990s, the Americans with Disabilities Act came in which, in law, everything in public has to be accessible to everyone. The Type 7 and the Boeing LRVs were high-floor cars in which they have steps in order to board the train. This made it difficult for wheelchair. In which they proposed for the Type 8 low floor. Now, the T recently purchased new cars for the Red Line back in 1993, in which these are the 1800 series manufactured by Bombardier. Now, the T kind of wanted to purchase the same fleet for the Green Line, but light rail based type. The T contracted Anasaldo Breda of Pistoia, Italy, which is now Hitachi Rails Italy, to acquire new low-floor cars for the Green Line. The new Type 8 LRVs were 74 feet long, 8 feet 8.0 inches wide, 11 feet 9.6 inches tall. The floor height of the Type 8 LRVs were 14.0 inches, had 3 pairs of folio doors each side, had 3 trucks with 2 articulated sections in the middle. The wheel diameter of the Type 8s were 28.0 inches, 711.2 millimeters. The wheelbase of the Type 8s were 6 feet 3.0 inches, 1,905 millimeters. The maximum speed of the Type 8s were 55 miles per hour, 89 kilometers of an hour. The weight of the Type 8s were 86,000 pounds, 39,000 kilograms. The Type 8s had Adtranz Bombardier PWM traction systems. The voice announcements were voiced by Frank Oglesby on the Type 8s.
This is Chiswick Road. The destination of this train is Boston College. Face coverings are required on MBTA vehicles and in cities. Next stop, Chestnut Hill Avenue. Entering Chestnut Hill Avenue. Doors will open on the right.
Frank Oglesby first voiced on the 1800 series on the Red Line in 1994.
Next stop, Quincy Adams.
Units 3800 to 3802 first arrived at Riverside in March of 1998 for testing. The Type 8s made their first revenue on March of 1999 on the Riverside line. After traveling some miles on the D line, the Type 8s immediately broke down. This is due to an incorrect wheel axle, in which 3800, 3801, and 3802 were delivered back to Italy, but they were later returned back to the MBTA in 2006 and was returned back to active service. The Type 8s were taken out of service in August 2000 but were later returned in active service in June 2001. Again, due to a derailment, the Type 8s were removed from service in 2002 and weren't allowed to operate on the D line. The Type 8s did eventually return back to service in May of 2003 to run on the B, C, and E branches. Because the Type 8s were suitable for the B, C, and E branches because they had to operate in low speeds, while on the D line, when these operate from 40 to 50 miles per hour, these would break down, in which in order for the Type 8s to operate on the D line, track work needed to be done on the D line, in which would take some time. This delayed the retirement of the Boeing LRVs. The T nearly ended the order of the Type 8s. The Boston Globe in October of 2016 reported that the MBTA Green Line had the most derailments in the nation because of the Type 8 LRVs. The issue was later solved in 2006 and production and delivery of the Type 8s resumed since then. The T in 2006 began coupling Type 7s and Type 8s together in order to make the Type 8s operate like the Type 7s. By early 2007, a sufficient amount of Type 8s were in active service. On March 16, 2007, Boeing LRVs 3485 and 3499 made its last passenger trip from Riverside to Government Center. Car number 3541 was donated to the U.S. Army in 2000. Car number 3424 was sent to the Seashore Trolley Museum. Cars number 3417, 3448, and 3453 was converted into maintenance work equipment. Cars number 3468, 3480, 3485, 3499, 3514, and 3520 was sent to the Transportation Center in Pueblo, Colorado, and the rest were scrapped by 2011. Work cars 3417, 3448, and 3453 were unfortunately later scrapped in 2020. All the Type 8s were delivered by August 2007. The Type 8s were later returned to service on the D line in 2008. The T had 95 Type 8s active. The remaining 5 cars, 3895 to 3899, were unfortunately not completed, and its shells were stored at the Orient Heights, which is the maintenance facility yard of the Blue Line. On May 28 of 2008, a collision occurred with Type 7's 3667 and 3681 between Waban and Woodland, in which this killed the operator of 3667, Teresi Edmonds. "3667 was shipped off to scrap, while 3681 was later repaired and placed into active service. Type 8 3879 was also involved in this accident, in which the Type 8 was coupled with the Type 7s, in which Type 8 3879 was placed as out of service, then later repaired but it was permanently retired and transferred to the MBTA's Emergency Training Center in Broadway. In 2014, Type 7 streetcar 3602 crashed and derailed between the tunnels of Fenway and Kenmore, in which Unit 3602 was later shipped off to scrap. These weren't the only accidents. There were many Type 7 and Type 8 accidents on the Green Line, in which some of them have been repaired and some of them have been scrapped. The T from 2015 to 2019 sent 103 Type 7s to Alstom in Hornell, New York to overhaul and refurbish the Type 7s, in which all the active Type 7s have been colored to bright green on the bottom, white on the top half, and a silver roof. Part 20, Type 9s. As part of the Green Line extension, the MBTA contracted CAF, which is a Spanish manufacturing company located in Bisan, Basque Country of Spain, in which the headquarters, Elmira, New York, in the United States, would assemble these cars while the shells would be constructed in Spain. The new Type 9 LRVs were constructed in a low-floor standard to make it easier for wheelchair. The Type 9's body was constructed from a stainless steel as to prevent rusting and corrosion. The T purchased a total of 24 cars numbered 3900 to 3923. These were acquired from 2017 up to 2020. In 2023, the Frank Augustby voice on the Type 8s was cut out and replaced by the AI voice. The MBTA proposed for a Type 10 fleet, which is gonna be 112 feet long and would come in low-floor standard. The MBTA approved an $810 million contract with CAF for 102 Type 10s, which would fully replace the Type 7s and the Type 8 fleets by 2032, in which deliveries would begin in 2026. This would be a 7-module design with 6 articulated sections. These are expected to replace 2 of the Type 7s and Type 8s per month as each car is delivered. Earlier in the video, I said I would later discuss about the connection between the Green Line and the Mattapan-Ashmont line, in which I will do right now. Now, when the PCC streetcars retired from service in 1986, 10 of the streetcars were rehabbed and sent to the Mattapan-Ashmont line, in which these are now over 70 years old and are still running on the Mattapan-Ashmont line to this day. Once the Type 10s are fully delivered, it's expected that the Type 9s would be transferred over to the Mattapan-Ashmont line, which would retire the PCC streetcars. And I will be sad once the Type 7 LRVs retire, because the Type 7s were once again my favorite. I have ridden them since childhood, and I'll be very sad when these are gone and get scrapped. So I hope that the Seashore Trolley Museum would accept a Type 7 and a Type 8.